Hey, let's analyze Eliza. Chapter 3, the server room. Deep underneath Skanda's main office is a server farm where all of Eliza's main processes run. We're going to go down there and learn more about how Eliza works and how Eliza doesn't work, and what people know and what people don't know. And you might think, why are we going to spend like a quarter of this chapter talking about how a server farm works? Well, that's because Eliza is Evelyn. Eliza is the in-game analogy for Evelyn. And in this scene, that becomes less subtext and more just plain old text, which we'll get to pretty clearly. It's going to be pretty obvious. Now, if each of the other NPCs we've met so far is a particular kind of coping mechanism, so is Eliza. And, of course, the main engineer who wants to talk about Eliza will represent that kind of response to trauma.
Eliza. Not the name I would have given you, if it were up to me.
It was a marketing decision.
This is Erland. His whole role in this game is to just talk about Eliza non-stop. Half of the conversation comes out from him as he explains Eliza, but he has another important role, which is pulling conversation out of Evelyn about Eliza. Both of those roles are important, especially since Eliza does stand in for Evelyn in many ways. But it's also important to realize that he's not a neutral character. He may sound neutral, but just like the other major NPCs in this game, he has a specific mechanism that he would like to use to work through trauma.
They thought there might be some recognition or resonance with the old version.
Oh, you startled me a bit.
Oh, I should have introduced myself. Sorry about that. I'm Erland, currently the chief engineer here, but that's probably going to be temporary.
Chief engineer? He looks like a baby. He must be fresh out of university.
I know who you are, of course. It's an honor to finally meet you, miss. As someone who works with this program every day, I've often felt close to the minds who originally designed it. So to be able to talk to you now, just as another person, it's an honor. Sorry, I already said that. I'm maybe a little overwhelmed.
No need to flatter me about it. Honestly, I don't know if Eliza reflects me at all anymore. I mean, look at all this. There's been a ton of development since I left.
Yeah, it's been 3 years, and everything's changed. Oh, are you talking about Eliza? Because you're clearly talking about Evelyn.
I doubt I would even recognize it as something I once worked on.
I'm not so sure about that. Most of the work we've done has been in the form of layers on top of the original system. The core modules are more or less the same as they've always been.
So, just from the perspective of someone who does software development for a living, this is super common. So, if you've never really worked in legacy software development, this is how you do it. You just layer more crap on top of the original legacy systems.
Raina reminded me that you're still subject to our non-disclosure agreements, so let me share a little secret. None of us really has a great understanding of what's going on in there.
Yeah, nobody knows your heart.
I'm the third chief engineer Eliza's had in the 3 years since you left.
That's quite a lot of turnover.
That's going out of business level turnover.
Yeah, even for this industry. The way Rainer works is, he gives you 2 chances to do what you tell him you're going to do. After that,
There is no third chance. I know.
we get these people in who say understanding Eliza will be easy because they're familiar with the type of program it is.
Yeah, we've gotten 3.5 major NPCs that have come in and said that understanding Evelyn will be easy because they're familiar with the type of girl she is.
And Eliza defeats them in the end.
It's not the type of program they think it is.
Yeah. On that note, I do have some questions I'd like to ask you, if you have the time.
So now that we've learned a little bit about Eliza and about Erland, it's time for Erland to pitch, to tell us how we should cope with our personal problems.
I'm not sure I'll be able to help.
Well, your deciding to work as a proxy has turned out to be an interesting test case. As I'm sure you know, different proxies lead to slightly different client outcomes, even when we control for other variables. We're studying the specific traits that lead to the best results: vocal qualities, proxy attitude and affect, responsiveness to the client, that sort of thing. One thing that's strange is that when you specifically serve as the proxy, clients report higher levels of satisfaction, pretty much across the board.
Really? The ratings I get don't seem that abnormal to me.
Yeah, that's because we normalize them per proxy, so nobody feels too bad.
Can't compare yourself to others.
Just a little user experience trick.
Oh, I see.
Comparatively, though, you're basically the best proxy we've ever had.
So one of the only major complaints I have about this game is that not enough time has passed to say this. It feels like it's been a week. But I can't say for sure how long has it been. Let's take a look. January 9th. It has been a week. This is much too fast.
Any theories on why that might be the case?
It's possible Eliza and I think along similar lines.
Yeah, so just in case you're not the sort of person who thinks subtextually and doesn't really understand that there's a strong connection between how Eliza works and how Evelyn works, let's just go ahead and spell it out.
I've considered that. At some level, perhaps unconsciously, your design for Eliza's reasoning was based on your own internal way of reasoning. We all put something of ourselves into what we make. No matter how neutral we try to be, it sneaks in.
So there you go. It's not even subtext. But you're not supposed to sit here and analyze everything that this guy says as relating to Evelyn. It's just supposed to be something where you know there's a connection so you can feel the resonance. You don't have to be literal about it. That's kind of the nature of an analogy.
That could account for your unusual compatibility with each other.
Maybe. I certainly wasn't thinking of that when I designed it. I don't know if I like knowing this.
I'm certainly not blaming you for anything. It's just that true universality is one of our future development goals.
So each of the major NPCs represents a different way of coping. Rainer is all about the super logical, no emotions approach, and Soren is all about indulging yourself to excess, and Erland is all about just pretending that everything is okay.
It might be a problem if Eliza tends to like certain people more than others. Our aim is to provide quality care for everyone, regardless of any differentiating factors.
Maybe that's not possible. Maybe there isn't a single counseling style that's best for everyone.
Well, hopefully it's just a matter of uncovering the system's biases and correcting them. We'll keep tuning things as we go, and eventually we'll have something universal, maybe with some dynamic layers on top.
So even if we don't understand our hearts, we can just get over shit by pretending that everything is okay. Just respond in the way everybody expects you to respond, and everything will be okay.
That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it goes. There are more questions I want to ask about the initial research you were doing at the time Eliza was first created, but I'll save them for later.
Yes, because this has gone on a little too long, so we'll get some sprinkling of this stuff in later. And this is, later is when Erland really shines, because he can pull conversation out of Evelyn. He can pull conversation out of Evelyn, and that will allow her to talk about herself without having to talk about herself. It's a very good trick. We'll get to it later.
And I'd like to ask some questions about Damien, too. If you're okay with that. I'll understand if that's a sensitive topic.
Not anymore. It's been a while.
Okay. Great. I need to run to a meeting now with the team in Romania, but I really appreciate you taking the time.
The team in Romania?
Yeah. They handle most of the progression and reward system.
Isn't there a big time difference from here?
There is. Sometimes they stay up late to meet with us, and sometimes we get up early to meet with them. There are teams in Munich and Hyderabad, too.
Hyderabad. The best place for a team because it's fun to say.
As you can imagine, coordinating development is a challenge sometimes.
Good luck with that.
Thanks. I'll need it. I'll contact you later with additional questions, but no rush or anything. Thank you, Evelyn. If you don't mind me calling you by your first name.
Yes, it's fine.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I'll be in touch.
Bum bum bum. He comes from another era, an era where everybody was supposed to follow the rules. So that's pretty much this particular segment. I believe that there might be an email or two. We'll clean those up, and then we'll be done. I am not a big fan of Erlang as a character, although I do say that he's a major NPC because he has such important things to say. He doesn't really feel like a major NPC. We don't really get to know him as him. He never really has any personal connection to us. He's not like the others where we get, or the chance to get a real solid personal insight. No, he's kind of just a minor NPC. All of the other NPCs that are minor NPCs are interviews. So, not really sure I like him in terms of how he fits into the flow of the story. But he has important things to say, and the things he says are well done. So, I can't say he's bad. I just feel like it's a little bit of a hammer when the story could have used a scalpel, if you see what I mean. Also, his name is a little bit strange because he's the only character with a hard syllable in his name. Erland. Everybody else does not have any hard syllables. Also, I have a sneaking suspicion his original name was Erlang, but we won't go into that. I think I've spent enough time here. 10 minutes. Skanda hasn't changed much since I left. It's even bigger now, but the feeling is the same. Could I come back to this? That's our grounding, our outro, and now the next section starts up. We're not going to do this next section today because it's got like stuff in it, and we're going to want to talk about stuff separately. So, thanks for your time. Let me know what you think.